Yeah, you may be able to tell that I love storytelling and talking about the images and the places, spaces, the faces, the people. Um, every time I do that, I go back into those moments, and I love when you're able to come into those moments with me. I decided to do this virtual exhibit because the pandemic and everything has slowed traffic and people aren't able to get to the gallery. But honestly, to be able to sit and to share with you this way, in this more intimate space, in this quiet, it's actually quite wonderful for me, and I hope that you're enjoying it as well. One of the things I rarely do, believe it or not, is shoot at home. I travel so much. I've traveled shooting some 30 countries. So being so familiar with this region, it doesn't always catch my eye in the same way that a new space would. But fog does something to draw me out. And this was one of those foggy days that I decided to go out and shoot. And this is actually not far from my home. And it was just a horse grazing in the middle of this field. And I later learned that the horse's name is Dora, or was Dora, because Dora passed away about a year and a half ago. But I call this one gray grazing. It's just one of those nice, warm, inviting pieces that would kiss any wall. There's something alluring about Greek pathways, and that's why I titled this piece that. Very interesting, aged. There's a lot of graffiti throughout Europe, but you see the graffiti here and there, and then people hanging the laundry, and you have the colors there. But this is a Sunday morning. I recall this Sunday morning taking a walk, Gloria and I, and just to see the way the sun sets between the buildings, and you have your shadows. And again, I love muted tones. It kind of works for me, and then sometimes it doesn't work because sometimes people want something that pops as bright. But this piece has a little bit of both, a little bit of color, a little bit of muted colors, but it has a good feeling, and it again leaves the imagination there to roam, to just kind of think about what might be happening in this Greek pathway. If you get the right muted light, you will come away with what looks to be black and white. It's actually a full color image, but you have all of this rich tonation beneath this pier. I call it surfing solitude because I captured this special moment where one lone surfer is taking on this wave, and then there's a bird right above him. Just again, very calming, sweet piece. You can hear the waves in your mind when you look at this piece. This also is done in acrylic, so it floats on the wall. Beautiful piece. This is good for home, office, anywhere you want it. And it's that kind of piece that will just grab you and calm the nerves. Really good for this time that we're in. This is Serenity. It's one of the most popular pieces. I've sold more Serenities than anything. This is actually the 11th edition. All of my pieces are limited edition, which means I will only sell either series of 15 or series of 25. In this case, 25 because of the size. Normally the larger pieces I sell fewer because the price point is a little higher. But once I'm done with the 25, then we sell no more of these. This was taken in eastern Nigeria. Young man sitting, relaxing in the market. Looks like he may be doing some shoe repair. I get different reactions. The American perspective on Africa is sometimes somewhat distorted, in that anytime we see imagery like this, we immediately go to the thought of someone being poor, someone being destitute, in a bad situation. Good chance he might be your next doctor. And so I love these kinds of images. A lot going on here. The tones, the natural lighting, the sweetness of the moment. It touches you. This is also an award-winning piece. It's the first piece that I won a major national award for photography, and I'm proud of it. I love it, and I love every time someone purchases one of these and places it in their homes, because they're taking a piece of my heart with them. Nigeria is one of my favorite countries to visit and favorite countries to shoot as well. This is Nana. Nana, also very sweet piece. If you have a grandmother, or if you had one that loved you and spent time, and you spent time at her home, then this will speak to you. My grandchildren call my wife Nana today. And so this is one of my favorite pieces. In this photograph, there's a faded sign of Coca-Cola. I've actually shot Coca-Cola signs all over the world. Very dominant brand. And to see the different presentations and different situations that you find yourself in with these is quite interesting. So, it's wonderful Nigeria. Yeah, now this is Abuja, Nigeria, the capital. This is a fun piece. This piece makes you feel good. I named it Happy Feelings because that's what you get when you see it. This is a young man, wheelbarrow, which many people don't notice, and he's just getting his hustle on. He's involved in the grind, and he's just chuckling because I'm standing there with this monstrosity of a camera, and he's just excited to be photographed. This is one of my favorite pieces. Southern Haiti is the location, and just an interesting, sweet place, tropical. So this is an early morning shot. You see the fog rolling over the hills, coming down to the river that does so much for the people. And here's this lady walking with this huge sack on her head with this beautiful red dress. And everything about her is feminine, and she sachets as she walks across the river. And I'm watching this from a distance. I'm up on the hill. She actually walked behind me before she came down to cross the river. And then she crosses over, and you can still see, if you can get a close-up of this, you'll see her hands out again, just like a beautiful woman. There are other things happening here. There's a horse here. There's a man in the background. Just one of those beautiful captures, and you see I'm using the lower portion. This is one of the devices I've been kind of toying with my photography, to bring the main subject down to the bottom and then have the rest to allow the imagination to kind of flow. I call this one faux femme, which means strong woman in Creole. One of the things that is just captivating here in Haiti is the morning sounds. I can't tell you. You wake. It's in Scripture it says, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord." I heard the roosters started, then the frogs, and then other sounds that I'd never heard before, undiscernible. And then I hear this unbelievable sound, and I found that it's the sound of the bull who's awakening and is asking the shepherd to come feed him. And here's a situation after the fact, a little later in the morning. This shepherd comes down the river. There's a rope tied to the bull, and he walks the bull to cool him through the river, and then he bathes the bull. And just a sweet moment to observe as he's getting on about his day. This I titled Eiffel Power, because most people, if they've never been to Paris, don't realize how enormous this structure is. And I chose not to photograph the whole tower, because that's more cliche. It's more of what you see on a regular basis. But I wanted to capture the enormous amount of activity that would go on beneath the Eiffel. Now, this has changed now because of the changing times, and security has caused them to cordon much of this off. And that's another thing, again, about recording, history. with photography, and we're seeing something that we may never see again in terms of the flow of activity between the Eiffel. The other thing is, once you get closer to this piece, there are names actually here, which are the architects and engineers of France, and they're actually engraved in the Eiffel Tower. So beautiful piece, powerful piece, one of the most adorned. This, by the way, is floating, as you notice. It's in acrylic, so it's a really unusual, or I should say unique piece that would grace any wall. Now we go from France to Spain, and people get different thoughts about what this piece is, at first glance. But this is a flamenco dancer, and I titled this piece Danza, which is dance in Spanish. And it started out as a piece that someone requested. It was a commission. There's a story behind my equipment malfunction in the middle of this trip, which was quite interesting, but I was able to manipulate the camera and capture this image anyway. The dancer is in motion. It's unusual that they're wearing that colored dress. So it's a really, really powerful, stunning piece, and the framing is exquisite, as is all of our framing, is museum quality. So this is the kind of piece that'll last for many, many years, and it's a statement maker. You put pieces like this on your wall, and it's an attention grabber, a conversation piece. And again, if you've ever been to any of these places, it's always something that will cause you to reflect back on your travels. Photographic eye is quite interesting. I guess the best way I can describe it is that you have moments, and you're just kind of checking out the landscape. Some things are apparent to you, but some things aren't. Now, this is shot in Barcelona, Spain, and there are the Gaudi structures. Gaudi, who designed some of the most extraordinary structures, including the cathedral there in Spain. There's a structure that we're all lined up in the street, and everybody's looking at this Gaudi structure, excited and shooting photographs. I look to my left, and there's this structure, and it has this design. And most people, again, they look at it, they don't recognize the fact that this is actually the skin of a building next to a Gaudi structure. But it's just so beautiful, so interesting. It just captures the eye and the imagination. I love it. This is one of those architectural pieces. I tend to shoot people. I shoot landscape, I shoot architects. Mostly people grab me. I'm drawn to that, but I also like, you'll see some pathways and some other things that I shoot that are just interesting spaces. This is a depot, and that's what it's titled, the depot, in southern France. And I was actually just getting off this train and just captured some images. And this is a nice, moving, touching, very sweet black and white. And these are nice for just spaces in the home or spaces in the office. Again, for reflection and for calmness and for peace and imagination, kind of stir the imagination. These are some of the images from the Stillness series. These are photographs that I captured at the onset of the pandemic, and I wanted to give a visual of what the streets that are normally filled with people and cars and activity look like once everything was shut down. Over the years, what I have come to appreciate shooting all over the world is that there are things that I'm capturing that preserve history. And so these are treasures to those of us, particularly from Chicago, because we never see this, and we may never see it again, but we will remember this that we're living through together as a community. And these are powerful images that capture that. I'm very, very glad to have taken the time and had the opportunity to capture these photographs. What's interesting is I become very, very intimate with the art. I can't frame everything that I have. I have over 49,000 images. Occasionally kind of look through and reminisce. And of course, only so many of them make it to the fine art level and are framed and set. But I know each piece by name. I recall every moment in every story, and every time I look at them, I go to those places in my mind and my heart. And that's one of the most extraordinary things about photography or art, period. I think every artist has that experience. And so when you purchase a piece and you take it to your home or you take it to your workspace or wherever you take it, it's very personal to an artist. And we feel that you've taken a part of us with you. And that's a wonderful thing. So when you do collect art, just keep that in mind, that it's just like children. It's like our children. And we love to see people take them and care for them.